3 years now, or I think so. And I guess the biggest marketing advertising we do is to recruit the young professionals who are part of the program. I wouldn't say we've had a problem doing so in the past. We get a pretty diverse group. Some people in oil and gas companies in Tulsa, some people that work in nonprofits, teachers even. So we get a pretty diverse group of applicants. I think it wouldn't hurt to have more applicants always, but I don't know. I wouldn't say there's been a problem recruiting people. But if we were to focus, I guess, advertising on something, it would be just recruiting broader audience.
Okay. And said that the seed is $10,000. That's how you start out. Where does that money come from?
So we are partnered with a couple of the family foundations in Tulsa. And I believe, I need to double check that. The seed funding for the program comes straight from those foundations, and I can't remember if it's Lobeck Taylor or George Kaiser because we run programs with both. Let me just look.
It's fine.
I believe it's George Kaiser that does most of the funding for the mine. Yes, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's fine. But how many applicants or business ideas do you take on during the course of like a year or the season that which the mine takes in businesses?
So the mine does 2 projects a year. They run on actually 9-month cycles. So 2 businesses or clients that we work with, and then each client gets a team of 5 young professionals who apply to be part of the program.
Okay.
So we accept 10 new fellows a year, and I don't know what the applicant numbers have been. I would say probably 25 or 30 the past round.
So, and then what happens once that business is, I guess, established, and who then takes over the daily operations of that?
So it's less about the fellows who don't really start new businesses. It's more consulting for existing programs or nonprofits. So, for example, one of the projects this semester, there is a couple of nonprofits in Tulsa that came together and say, hey, we both have this problem with helping teenagers get to their appointments. So teenagers that have, appointments with any sort of social services organization. They're from low-income families or they live, far across town and don't have their own car. They have a problem with getting to these appointments. So these 2 organizations came together and said, can you ideate a way for us to solve this problem? So the team has come up with a plan, but they're essentially handing over those recommendations back to the clients for them to implement.
Okay, so it's more about like them getting a plan idea together and then giving it to the establishment that needs it.
Right. Yeah. So they make recommendations for what the clients should do.
Okay. Do you know the main way that they already recruit clients? Is it just like kind of advertising is already being done? Do you know?
So recruiting business, like the businesses and nonprofits that we work with, actually mostly comes from our network. So part of our staff in Tulsa, so Rebecca, and then we have a couple of other CCW staff members in Tulsa. Part of their job is just getting to know people in the entrepreneurial community, understanding what new efforts different nonprofits are trying to take on. And so by, doing that sort of networking throughout the year, when it's time to launch new projects, we normally have a pretty good idea of what partners could benefit the most from a project with us and would be a good experience for the fellows and things like that.
All right. Then how do you recruit fellows? What's the process through which? The same thing, networking?
Yes, and more. So we have, through networking, Rebecca has developed some pretty solid relationships with some corporations in Tulsa and nonprofits. So, for example, we have a very good relationship with the Teach for America cohort in Tulsa. We have relationships with some of the oil and gas companies, banks. And so one of the things that Rebecca does each time they recruit new fellows is actually go to these places in person, pitch the fellowship to the businesses themselves as a professional development opportunity for their employees, so that One Oak, for example, says, well, I have this great employee who's looking for great professional development. She would benefit a lot from your program. I'll pay for her participation.
Okay, so the companies more give the employees, and they say this is an incentive for you to improve your own skill set. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so some of the fellows are sponsored by their companies to participate in the program as professional development. So that's one way we do recruiting. We also have a very good relationship with the Tulsa Young Professionals Organization.
Mm-hmm.
So we do sort of in-person recruiting from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, they have a website and
All right.
social media and stuff. But
so do you know do you know of one of the projects or two that I could more focus on instead of just doing a general broad base, so I can like hone in on like one specific kind of applicant?
Mm-hmm. So you can hone in on one specific type of applicant. What do you mean?
Yeah. For example, if you're doing like the nonprofit with the traveling, you wouldn't necessarily pick up an oil and gas. You would more pick up someone who's.
So actually, we do.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the same way our intern program works here at OU, we recruit not based on like background or skills, expertise, and more so on their willingness to be involved with nonprofits or sort of interest in the professional development component. So we actually prefer to have people from diverse backgrounds because it provides diverse perspectives on the projects. So we recruit the fellows separately from the projects. In fact, we usually have recruited the fellows and accepted the new class before we even know for sure what the projects will be. So.
Okay, so a lot of times you end up with like people from like all kinds of backgrounds and professionals rather than just from one specific set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had oil and gas people, we've had banking and professionals, we've had, like I said, teachers, we've had people that are, run their small family business in Tulsa. So we really sort of run the gamut of types of people involved.
And then so are these fellows, are they paid, or is the business themselves pay them and they get the experience? Because you mentioned that earlier.
So the fellows actually pay to be a part of the program.
Oh, okay.
Because we, after running sort of a pilot of the program, definitely determined the biggest value for the fellows participating in it is the professional development component, which a lot of times is something that their employers will pay for. So the fellows pay for the program, and then the businesses or nonprofits that are our clients essentially get the work pro bono.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I think that's actually all I need.
Okay.